Today, it's your birthday. Yesterday was too, and so is tomorrow. Not sure what that means? Let us introduce you to this powerful concept and community. We are Helene and Christina, and our mission is to empower, teach, and remind women to celebrate themselves. Combined, we have over 35 years of experience as therapists in private practice. It was in the office and in our personal relationships where we were hearing women struggling and not feeling seen or alive during their, quote, messy middle life stage of life.
We come to you not as your therapist, but rather two women in this stage with you, your friends. Our podcast promises to talk about hard or uncomfortable topics in a way to empower you, laugh along the way, as part of healing and finding joy in life. What sets us apart? We leave you with gifts each and every episode. These may come in the form of actionable tools or strategies or invitations to be right where you are. Now that we are friends, let's make this official. We would love to help start your Thursday morning, so make sure you follow this show wherever you listen and go to our website, yourbirthdaypodcast.com, to receive our free newsletter and get the episode dropped in your inbox weekly.
We're thrilled that you have joined. Now let's chat about the gifts of a supportive mother. Friends, there are so many ways to show up as a supportive mother. Today, we're going to chat about meeting your child where they are at. Whether that means doing the science project idea and you're getting that oomph in your head, as Christina would say, whether they're exploring a career path that you're concerned about, or maybe they're raising their children in a way that is so different from how you raised them. So as you listen to this conversation, if you think of others who may need to hear it because it resonated with you, you showed up to listen to a very important topic, we would be honored if you shared this episode as soon as you're done, because Christina and I know it gets busy.
Yeah.
So before you get back into the treadmill of life, share it. Share it on your socials, share it with that dear friend, share it with your sister, or even with your mom if you want to let her know.
Or also with your daughter.
Or with your daughter. So grab your drink of choice. Christina's got her coffee. And let's go find those gifts and the wins that you are already doing.
Oh my gosh, I love this episode. And I think it's something that we all strive to be. So, Helene and I are on some social groups where I see this pop up pretty regularly. You know, a mother in law or a mother of an adult child. Like, how do I handle this? What do I do? Or even, like me with younger kids. Like, how do I be a supportive mom when, let's be real, I have a lot of strong opinions in life and I am a strong, bitchy woman. And so, like, how do I, excuse my French, but shut the fuck up and let my kids do their thing? It's really hard.
It is hard. And, I must say this. First of all, I say it all the time in the office, and I don't mean it, but like, if you've been working with me, people are going to laugh. But it's like biting your tongue until it bleeds,
Oh my
right?
God, it's so hard.
Literally, it's biting your tongue until it bleeds. Because if you say the thing that maybe your heart or your head is thinking about, the hurt that you may create is so unimaginable and it's not intentional. But if
No.
you catch it, bite that tongue till it bleeds and just sit there and hold your belly.
I really think in this episode, we are not only channeling your grandma, we are channeling my mother-in-law, Joni, because both of these women like had this down. Like they were good at it. My mother-in-law was so good at this. So good. Like I literally like if there was a book to write of like the rules of how to be a mother-in-law, my mother-in-law Joni would have written it. Not to say that like we didn't have bumps in the road or we didn't have moments we disagreed or I want to be real about it. Like I'm not putting her on some pedestal.
Right.
But she was so good at this and she was constantly determined to like learn and figure it out. Like I can't even begin to tell you. And when I think of your grandma, of like the times where, you were struggling or you were working through something, and she just met you with such kindness and
Mhm.
grace.
She did. She did.
Yeah.
And can you give, I mean, let's sprinkle gifts in right away. If your mother-in-law could sprinkle one gift right now from wherever she is, what would be one gift that we can give that you received and we can extend on? And it may not resonate with everyone, but it was
Yeah.
smiling. If you're watching us on YouTube, like Christina's
Oh,
going right now.
oh my gosh, it's like one. This is really hard. So I have to tell you, like, the other really cool thing is, and I'm going to out this, we are recording this episode on Helene's birthday, and Helene happens to share the birthday with Julie. And we all know Julie doesn't ever want me to celebrate her. But so I Julie comes to mind as just having a supportive mother. And I think what stands out to me is I know without a doubt there was choices that Julie was making, choices that Ethan was making, choices that I was making, choices that my brother-in-law Zach was making, you know, that she didn't agree with or she didn't like. I mean, it just went against who she is or whatever. And I knew it went against like her morals or her values or her beliefs,
Right.
like, because I knew what they were.
Sure.
But she never said anything. Like, she never criticized it. She never said anything. Like, she trusted that she had raised her children and that they had picked good partners to figure it out and understood that, like, kids had to learn from their mistakes.
Right.
Like, that was a big thing, is like, she's like, you have to learn. And so if she constantly interjected, she was preventing us from learning. And so that was something. But then, like, I can think of like with foods, I was like really like anal and rigid about introducing foods to Svea when she was a
Right.
baby. And Jody would just go behind my back and be like, here's a cucumber. I mean, it was all super healthy stuff, right? Like, it was never
Right.
junk food, except one time she took my daughter to McDonald's without telling me. She was the first one to take my kid to McDonald's, won't lie. But I mean, it just is like, she just knew that I was being that anal retentive first time mom, and
Yep.
she just handled it. Like, it wasn't like a screw you or disrespect.
Mm.
It was just like, chill out, Christina. We got this.
Right. And what comes to mind when you share that really powerful story, and it may not totally resonate, but what came up for me is if you grew up kind of within, I guess, the generation or like hearing almost like children should be seen and not be heard, which isn't today, but like
No.
decades before, you may have heard that growing up. I think what your mother-in-law, Joni, did is that she allowed herself to see things. And I love the powerful word. She trusted enough to allow you and Ethan to figure it out. And while she may have wanted to say anything, she allowed herself to be seen, but not imposing her
Mm-hmm.
thoughts, her vision, her expectations. She already raised Ethan. So she allowed herself to support by meeting you guys exactly where she was at and maybe biting her tongue until it possibly bled just a little bit.
The other thing I would say she did was set a super healthy boundary, although I can't even remember us ever like attempting to engage in this, but it was just a very well known fact that she would not talk about her kids with the other one in a negative way. So, like, we never heard what, her disagreements or dislikes about Julie were. And I can tell you, if Julie was here right now, she would say she never heard what her dislikes or disagreements about Ethan were. I mean, we would giggle about, like, you know, their quirky traits, but we all giggled about it and we giggled to their face about it. So it
Right.
wasn't like it was a criticism. Like, everybody has quirky traits that everybody in the family teases them about, right? But she never talked behind her kids' backs.
She respected all of you enough to not do that.
Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
that. Okay, so that's another gift. So, mother-in-law, she may have had her own opinions that were really strong, but she held them
Hmm.
within because she trusted and allowed her adult children to
Yeah.
be where they are and allowed herself to simply view them. And she didn't talk behind anyone's back.
No, and I think what stands out to me is when I think of a supportive mother, I think of somebody who shows up without judging and genuinely loving. Like they walk
Mhm.
into that role, when we're looking at adult children, in
Right.
a role of just loving. Like my job is to love you. Period. End of discussion. Like you're going to live your life, you're going to do your life. And here's what I would say. I feel like there's a caveat to this. You might have an adult child with severe illness or an addiction or
Yeah.
something like that. And that's a very different relationship. We are talking about well functioning children who may not be doing things quite how you want, but you're not having to continue to parent them. You might be parenting them because you haven't been able to cut that umbilical cord, and that's why you're listening to this episode. But really, I mean, that's where it comes from, is just like, how do you parent your adult children? And I think you've got to trust that you parented them, you've instilled your values and morals and your beliefs in them, and now they have to do it and figure it out. And it most likely is going to have traces of you.
Yeah.
It will not be you because they are
And
different humans.
I was just going to say, and it's not supposed to be.
No.
The hope is that none of us had children with the hope and the expectation that they will live our life, their life, for us as us.
Right.
Because then you're not gifting them and it's your birthday. So, what
Hmm.
Christina's talking about is truly loving them and supporting them, providing
Hmm.
judgment. It's truly meeting them where they're at and dropping the judgment. Now, the other thing she mentioned about it is a little bit that can happen. I think all of us can be guilty of it. Like you're enabling, right? Enabling is very different than supportive. So enabling usually comes from a place, I would say, of like your own high anxiety, your
Hmm.
extreme discomfort, the
Hmm.
internal, right? Christine and I always talk about listening to your body, that if your body is like highly activated, which I know is like kind of a therapy word, but if you kind of think about like it's just going off, right? Like it's just beep bopping all around. You've just got this bubbling going up because your child is doing something and you're so scared that you can't tolerate their choices, that you may do it for them, you know?
Right. You can't let go of that control.
Right.
And I
Right.
think when you're judging your kids, it comes from a place of control.
Oh, I love that. I don't love it, but that's a powerful thing. Say that again,
When you're
please.
judging your children, it comes from a place of needing control.
Which usually shows, if you
Your own
agree, like,
insecurities.
yeah, your own work that you need to go back to and go back to some
Hmm.
of our amazing episodes where Christina talks about how to get into the present by getting in connection with all five of your
Yeah.
senses. So when you can do that, you can feel that lack of control and be with it rather than jumping on them, stepping on them, judging them.
Right. Yeah. Another moment I remember is Julie had this boyfriend who just was not a good character. He didn't treat her well. He was rough. He just wasn't a good creature. Hopefully he is now. I don't know where his life went, but I remember she was supposed to spend Thanksgiving with his family, and Thanksgiving was like always Joni's like huge big holiday. So it was hard for her to have her daughter away, but she was like very supportive of it. I think she even like sent Julie something to take. I mean, she just was lovely about it,
Yeah.
but clearly missing her baby girl. And last minute, Julie realized like this is toxic, unhealthy, and broke up like literally the week of Thanksgiving.
Right.
Joni did not say a word to us. Like she kept Julie's privacy. And we show up at Thanksgiving and Julie's there because Joni flew her down
Right.
for Thanksgiving. And I just like that admired me too, because this mom who was in total crisis about her adult daughter across the country, like just so calmly was just like, I'm flying my baby home. She's here for Thanksgiving. Like she didn't engage in drama talk. She just was like, handled it. like girl boss, mom boss. And
Mhm.
then it was Julie's story to tell.
I was just going to say
Like
that.
Julie could share what she wanted to share about it. It wasn't anybody else's. And I love that, and that's something that I have to be careful on because Svea's like, don't tell everybody my business. And I remember my mom telling my business too, and I hated it. And like Joni came to mind, and I was like, you know what, Christina, you need to honor that boundary. Like, don't tell everybody my business. Now, she's okay with what I share on the podcast. And I always like, whenever I'm going to talk about her when we edit, I always am
Right.
like, hey, Spay, I said this about you. Are you cool with that? And she's like, yeah, mom, I don't care. You know, but if she did care, and Helene, that your kids care more. And so
Yeah.
Helene is very conscious of like respecting that boundary of her children, of like, they don't want to be a part of the podcast any more than little sprinkles.
Little sprinkles.
Right.
So I can't wait till we do gifts from Joni and Grandma Jean. Like that's
Yeah.
coming. We have to do that. But what a beautiful thing. And that what your mother-in-law did was exactly meeting her child where she was at
Hmm.
and allow Julie to choose her invites. So if you didn't go back to our episode called Limiting Your Invites, which blew up, you guys love that one. It was about boundaries. Mom allowed Julie to own her story and to choose
Hmm.
what she, if anything, wanted to do with it. And that is truly being a supportive, loving mom. And it
Yep.
takes practice because, especially if you're hurting, if you're shocked, or if you're elated, right? Maybe she was relieved.
Hmm. Hmm.
She allowed that to stay in the container and gifted her daughter to tell or not tell whatever part of her story she needed or wanted to.
And I envision that there was lots of conversations and phone calls of Joni just listening to Julie and letting Julie pour her heart out because that's who she was, and then validating her because Joni had some tough marriages. She really did. And then, giving her the encouragement and saying, can you come home? Do you want to come home? And Julie, of course, did. But I think if Julie wanted to stay home, like Joni would have honored that, even though it wasn't her want. And so I think it's so important for mothers to just have a non critical stance because that builds your children's self esteem. When you tell your children, I'm here and I support you, but I believe you can do it,
Mm.
it gives them the self confidence they need to go out in the world and accomplish.
Say that line again in case anyone wants to steal or use it. That was a really powerful line.
If you can allow your children to make the decisions and you support them, you're building their self confidence so that they can go out in the world and succeed. If you feel, because of your own insecurities, the need to constantly judge and critique and do it for them, you're clipping their wings and you're actually in a vicious cycle of making it so they can't do it.
Right.
Like you are keeping them from functioning in the world.
Right. And imagine that potential influence that you would have in a really negative way that
Yeah.
you not meeting them where they're at, hearing what they want, even if it's not what you are wanting to listen to, but you show up like Christina said, you're listening actively, you're validating their emotions. You don't have to agree with them. The powerful thing about validating is that you don't have to agree,
Right.
but you can validate them and say, what I hear from you is that this is incredibly important to you.
Mm-hmm.
I hear that.
Mm-hmm.
That right there is going to build that confidence. And it sends them the message, I'm meeting you where you are at. And
Yeah.
I love that Christina said that if you don't do it, you indirectly end up stifling who they may become.
Exactly. Yeah. You're hindering them from their full potential, which is the exact opposite of thing that you want to do. Like when parents get controlling, their adult children, I genuinely believe like their heart is in a beautiful place of just wanting nothing but the absolute best for their children.
Yes.
And they are their own worst enemy. Not only are they sabotaging their children, they're sabotaging themselves. Like
And
it
their
is the worst thing you
relationship.
can do. Yeah. Yeah. I will never forget. I had a case that I had to interview the mother, like the grandmother, and I mean, she was telling me she had more knowledge about the grandkids than the parents did
Mm.
because literally, this is what happened. The parents bring the baby home, grandma shows up, and grandma starts dictating everything. Like, Mom, you need to go to sleep. Dad, you need to go take a shower. I've got the baby. I've got the baby. I've got the baby. Nope, you're not breastfeeding because I'm in a bottle feed so that you can sleep at night. Like her intentions were so good.
Right,
But then we have a toddler that never really properly bonded with parents and is attached to grandma.
right.
Grandpa's job made them have to relocate. And grandma
Mm.
wanted to take the baby with them and leave the parents behind.
Oh, that's an oomph. Oh, shit.
Right. Because baby was attached to her, she felt like. And I was like, it created rift between the parents and led to them divorcing. And then, so now, child is only with that side of the family 50% of the time.
Right.
And her child was wanting to relocate to be near her because that child could not function without her because they had never been taught how. And it was a mess. It was a total mess.
Right. And like you said, grandma came, we're going to say, from a really great place, wanting their adult children to sleep, to
Right.
recuperate. But when something happens to you, one of the greatest things that you need to work through is making choices
Right.
and making decisions, even if you don't know how the fuck to do it.
Mhm.
You having what we talk about, like that agency over yourself, you might do it wrong. No, we're not saying a huge wrong, but you might do it wrong.
You might, because we all do. We're human.
Right. But that grandmother, again, coming from a great place, didn't gift these adult children slash parents the opportunity to
Mm-hmm.
learn the cries of the child, to figure out when the child was done eating, to learn the noises they were making. She just took it over. So no wonder why that attachment and the rift occurred.
Yeah. Yeah. And
And
so I just think, or maybe it has to do with money. Maybe you're constantly giving your adult children money and bailing them out, or buying this or paying for this, or giving a down payment on a house, or buying them a car, or paying for their vacations constantly. Like you are teaching them that they can't function without your finances. And what happens one day when you're gone and they've never learned how to manage money?
right.
It goes back to the original founder of Beauty Counter. And I've shared this story several times. Greg Renfrew, when she was initially starting, she had gotten like $3,000 or so in credit card debt. Her mom had the money, and she hinted and asked her mom to help her pay it off.
Mhm.
And her mom's response was, "No, I believe in you."
Mm.
And
Wow.
I think that's powerful.
Hugely
You
powerful.
don't need me, you can do it.
And it goes back to that powerful word that you said at the beginning of this episode. I trust you. I
Yeah.
trust you.
And it taught Greg to not have credit card debt. Like there was so many valuable lessons in that
Yeah.
that I think if you run in and pay your kids credit card debt every time,
Right.
guess what they're going to learn? How to run up credit cards.
Right. And it's also remembering, I mean, I oftentimes will have situations like the adult child doesn't necessarily ask, right? It goes back to I think a couple episodes I said like the basketball thing. Like, are they when they might be saying something to you, but they're not directly asking, like, oof, my credit card bill is out of control, or like my rent just went up, and you notice that feeling in your belly. You have a couple of options. But it's also making sure you're not taking it on and enabling them, like Christina said, oh, here's the money. I'll just Venmo the $300. because you're taking care of yourself because you're not
Mhm.
regulating your discomfort. And it goes back to what you said. You're sending the message, I don't believe in you, or I don't trust in you. In that moment, they're probably relieved. Oof, I got that unexpected $500. But what happens the next time if you can't, or you won't, or you refuse to no longer enable them because you're starting to resent it? And that's on us.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So, one of my funniest examples is Carl right now is going through like major allergies because we are in the throes of spring and we were just in Florida, and like that just screws with his allergy something fierce.
Yeah.
And so it's gross, but he will sneeze and then have a nose full, and he will scream anywhere in the house, I need a Kleenex. And in the beginning, he had trained me well because I didn't want him to wipe it on his sleeve. So I would run and like grab a Kleenex and like throw it in his face, right?
Right.
And now, 2 weeks later, I'm like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Like, are you fucking kidding me? I am upstairs, knee deep folding laundry. You are in the basement, and I'm expected to run down and give you a Kleenex. Well, who created that monster? Yours truly.
Yeah.
And so I was like, hey, Car, mom screwed up here. I was like,
Love it.
I am not running every time you sneeze with a Kleenex. We have Kleenexes everywhere because I have a Jewish husband with allergies.
We're all right.
Everywhere in my house are boxes of Kleenex. Everywhere. Okay. And so, buddy, I can promise you, no matter where you are, you will find a box of Kleenex. Not only do I buy them nonstop for my psychology office, I also buy them nonstop for my house. Like Costco, Kleenex, I'm telling you, go buy stock. It might be the only stock that goes up right now, thanks to yours truly.
Good.
So I have to untrain what I
Right.
trained.
Well, and what I love, and that's another huge gift, Christina, is that this cycle was created by me. It
Right.
wasn't Paul having the expectation when he screamed out with like the snot everywhere and that everyone's door would open up and run down. You created it. And you told him, hey, mom messed up. This is what I'm doing. And this is what's going to happen moving forward. And I imagine, knowing Sweet Call, I just adore that kid. He didn't have a temper tantrum. He didn't call you the worst mom. He figured it out.
He did.
Right?
I think it goes back to your laundry episode when you got
Exactly.
tired of the disastrous laundry mess and
Yes.
you just were like, "Eh."
Right. You can take it back, people. If you are listening to this and you're like, oh shit, I'm doing the thing. I'm creating this. I'm
Yeah,
doing,
we
I don't
create
care
our
what you're doing in a
monsters.
month, a year, 10 years. You
Yeah.
can sit your child down, apologize, acknowledge, take self accountability,
Yeah.
model that for them and tell them, I'm going to do it differently because I've gotten in the way of you being a person, of you figuring it out. And I trust that you can.
Yeah.
Love
I believe in you. I know you can do this.
it. I
I
know
know
you.
you can. And I think when we tell them we can, as simple as it is to go get a Kleenex, I'm also telling him, I believe you can take care of yourself. You
Powerful.
know, I have a case right now where there's a 10-year-old girl and the parents are dressing her every morning. And I'm like, what are you teaching her?
Uh-huh.
And they're like, well, we're teaching her that we support her and we're there for her because she's so tired in the morning. I was like, no, you're teaching her she can't care for herself.
Right.
And
Or
they were like,
parents that can be
oh,
late. They're like, oh, I'm gonna be really late to Carline, so I just hurry up and like put the toothpaste on their toothbrush. Should I help them pick up their clothes? And I'm like, wait a minute, wait a minute. Right. It's that same
right.
cycle. I
And here's what I would say there might be a day here or there, right? Like our family's in town. Svea couldn't fall asleep until way late because she was so excited. And so, like this morning, she was a bit of a hot mess. And so, did I do a couple extra things for her because she was extra tired? 200%. That's part of being a family and supporting one another. Do I do it daily? No. And that's the difference. Like once in a blue moon, helping them out, great. Adult, child, in between. You know, and to say, like, you might have always wanted in your identity to be the grandmother that takes care of the toddlers till they go to school. If that's something that you and let me make that that's like font size 75 bold and your children, meaning your child and their partner, both
right.
agree to, then fine. However, if any one of those people says no, guess what the answer is? No.
Right.
It is no. You don't get to negotiate, manipulate, pout, and do all that crazy shit to make them do it.
Don't trip any of it. Right. You say, okay. You should say,
Okay, thank
okay.
you.
Is there anything I can do?
Yeah.
Or,
And then
right.
you have to move on and grieve that dream that you created in your head and let it go, friend. Let it go.
Because it
No.
wasn't yours to begin with.
Mm-mm. No, it's their decision.
Woo, we're getting really feisty on this one because we're
I
so passionate about
am.
it.
I am because it's a big deal and it creates all these huge rifts. And now all of a sudden, so and so hates their daughter in law and so hates their mother in law. I mean, how many freaking TikToks are there out there about like the mother in law from hell? And I hate that. I hate that because you have an opportunity to really model and have a beautiful relationship and show how you integrate and like so many gifts for kids with this. And so, like, if you are that mother in law that's controlling, demanding, disrespectful, does not
Right.
honor, even if your daughter in law has the stupidest, craziest boundaries, like,
Mhm.
that's who she is, friend. That's
Right.
who he picked. Yeah. I
And
have
it
a,
has nothing to do with you.
yes.
It
I have a
has,
super good friend
yeah.
whose sister in law is an interesting character. We will just say interesting character. And, my best friend and I like laugh about it, joke about it, whatever. But her mom is so good at not engaging my friend in negative talk about her. Like, so good. And sometimes my friend calls me, she's like, my mom knows she's crazy. And I'm like, but your mom won't tell.
Oh, she was channeling your mother-in-law.
I
She was
know.
channeling her. Hmm.
And she chooses to have beautiful relationships with all of her kids. Just super healthy boundaries, like loves them for who they are, can find the good in who they are in that moment. And that's that.
And I think that's the beautiful thing. You have to choose how you want to bridge these relationships, whatever stage your child is at, whether it's toddlerhood, adolescence, adulthood, you have to choose and then be consistent with that and being mindful of the rifts or the beautiful connection that it can bring and the
Right.
influence that you can have on
And
either.
you've got to understand that when you are focused on criticizing your children, it really is an internal place in you. What insecurity is not being met? Is it that your children aren't functioning like your next door neighbor Susie's kids or their best friends, you know, it doesn't matter. Like, are you going to lunch with their best friend's mother all the time? And their best friend's mother's like, oh, my kid went to Harvard and got this scholarship. And now, they're living in New York City in an apartment that's $30,000 a month. And, your kids can barely afford a $1,500 rent payment. It doesn't
Right,
matter. Stop comparing yourself.
right,
7 cardinal rules of life. What other people say behind your back is none of your fucking business. And stop comparing your life. Stop.
right.
Your
And
children are not less than. We don't know if they can even afford that $30,000 a month rent. We don't know what's going on behind closed doors. Stop comparing yourself. Stop comparing your kids.
and the other thing you can choose to do instead is choose to be the woman that cheerleads that woman across the table.
Yeah.
And just say, I'm really happy for you and for them.
Yeah,
Or
that's
that's
awesome.
great that they're doing that. That's awesome. Be that woman. So you have
Hmm.
to take a deep breath, regulate any discomfort, any oh shits that's coming up for you, and just say, that's awesome. That's awesome.
And celebrate where your kids are.
Right. Right. Where they are, because it's theirs.
Right.
It's theirs. And that's the greatest gift is meeting
Hmm.
your kids where they're at. Their wins are their wins. Their challenges are theirs. And trusting that they'll figure it out. And you can make mistakes, right?
Oh, 200%.
I mean, there was a recent one. So my son was interviewing for a job. He had like 2 interviews. And one of them, we told him to send like a thank you letter, right? Email thank you. And he was like, no, really? What? Like, we were just shocked. And the person hadn't shown up on time. He emailed, he rescheduled, he did all the things. He sent one thank you, but he didn't send the other. And we just were going round and round and round. And finally, I'm like, what's getting in the way of you doing this? And I might have told the story already. And what ended up coming up from it was like his little bit of perfectionism was like creeping back up. And he's like, what if I send it and I still don't get the job? I'm like, then you don't. But we were pushing so hard. And we finally had to say, this is yours.
Mm-hmm.
This is yours.
Mm-hmm.
We're teaching you what we think you should do, and it's yours. So
Yeah.
whatever you choose to do is yours, and we apologize. And it was, we were just so anxious, like, took a break. We took like a 10-minute break. The three of us came back, and we were anxious that we knew he needed the job. Not for the money, he needs the whatever. He needs the
Experience.
And we apologized. We both did.
Yeah.
And that's when we said, this is yours and you have to do it your way. And again, he's an adult. He's almost 22. He said to us, why were you not going to let me almost fail? He said, what, he said that to us. He said, you
Wow.
have
He
to
must have a
let me,
therapist as a mother.
why did you guys push so hard and not let me choose, even if it meant I, quote, failed and I didn't get it? And that's when we were able to say, because we know how much like this means to you, whenever. And he goes, right, what it means to me. And you have to let me do it my way. P.S. He didn't get that job, which was fine. We don't know whether he sent it or not. Got another one, and he did it his way, and it ended up being a great way. But he called us out on it.
I
And
love that.
if you have an adult child or adolescent child, or even like a toddler, that's like, no, I want to do it this way. I want to play this. I don't want to play this. Listen, because
Mm-hmm.
when they can tell you what they want, the gift is that you've created safety.
Mm-hmm. 100%. And I love that. And what I love is in that moment, your son had the trust and rapport and had open family conversations on regular basis that he knew that he could call you out and confront you in a respectful way, not a jerk way. Like he didn't scream and swear at you
No,
or, not talk to you or play the silent treatment game. He said, look, this is what I'm going to do. And here's what I would say. Him not sending that thank you or sending that thank you, he's showing his personality, which is what they're trying to figure out if they want to hire. And so this also helps them figure out if he's somebody that's going to fit in their team or not.
absolutely.
So, maybe sending the thank you would have made them be like, oh, he's a kiss ass. He's not somebody we want. We need somebody with more of a backbone. Or sending the thank you would have been like, oh, yeah, this guy is really respectful, like da 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 da. Like, who knows how they would have perceived it? But he sat in that interview. So he had a better understanding of the interviewer than you all did. And he called you out on that.
Yeah,
And
I
I
didn't think of
love
that.
that. I love that he had a safe space to do that and that in that opportunity he learned the gift of apology and owning mistakes, that it's okay to make mistakes because even your parents do. And we believe in you. We step back because you're absolutely right. We do believe in you. And he's like, "Damn it, you better because I'm really smart and capable and I can do it."
Aw, I got my own little birthday gift going through this with you right now.
I
Thank
know.
you.
I love that. I
I
love
mean, we
that.
mess up all the time, right? Not
Oh, we do
intentionally.
too.
And I just laugh at my family. I say to my husband, that's another therapy session we're going to have to pay for. Like
Right.
that, another
We joke
therapy
about that
session
too.
we're going to have to pay for. So as long as you catch it and do exactly what Christina said, like just own it, offer a sincere apology, what you're going to do differently and be accountable. It validates, it supports. There's no
Yeah.
judgment.
Whether
And
it's a bigger
yeah,
deal, like your son applying for a job, or my son needing to blow his nose, just little in the
they
scheme
all
of life.
count.
Right. They all count and they all make an impression, positive or negative, as to how we handle it. And so I think there are so many gifts you can provide when you choose to walk into your relationship with your children with a loving, understanding, and non judgmental stance. It's powerful because then you come to them being loving, supportive, and respecting their boundaries, which means they might limit invites to you.
Right.
And you know what, sister? You got to accept it. You got to accept it, whether you like it or not. And it can be hard. It can be hard. You can go to your girlfriends, you can go to your partner, you can go to other people and be like, this is really tough. And they can go, it is, but you got to respect it.
And I think the other gift is that when you show up as a supportive mother without criticism, without judgment, meeting them where they're at, the greatest gift that they receive is really all encompassing of just saying, I accept who you, I'm accepting.
Yeah.
And they may struggle with so much outside of your relationship of people being judgmental, of people
Yes.
at the office, of people in the hallway, of maybe even
Mhm.
their partner if they're going through a hard season. But if
Mm.
they know they can come back to you
Yeah.
where
You
there's no
created that
judgment,
safe space
yeah.
and you modeled it for them. I think when I reflect on this episode, the greatest gift I believe we're giving our audience and the greatest gift our audience can give to others is the power of active listening,
Mm.
asking, again, font size 75, cap locks, bold, non judgmental questions,
Yep.
and encouraging that independence because you're teaching them, I believe in you. I know you can. Go for it. Try it. What's the worst thing that can happen? You screw it up and you try again.
Right.
And so you can give your children gifts without imposing your own agenda. So check yourself at the door. Like literally envision yourself, mom, checking your wants bag that you come toting up to the house with.
Yep.
Leave it at the door. Just leave it right outside, right there. Don't bring it in with you.
I'm a visual person, and you just gave them a great visual. I
Well,
love it.
yeah. And then instead of the you should try this or you should do this or you're not trying hard enough, what do you think would work for you? Open ended questions. Be a therapist in this moment.
Yep.
Like,
Be
what can I
curious.
do to help you?
Mhm.
Or would you like my help? Like, and if so, what does that look like for you?
I love that.
It's not, would you like my help? Okay, here's what I'm going to do. It's, would you like my help? And what does that look like for you? What can I do to help? Let them
And
tell you what they
accept it.
need.
Yep. And accept it.
Hmm. Yeah.
Unless it's something you truly can't do. But if it's something that you could do, but it's gonna be full of judgment, then say that's not something I can do. But if there's something else, share with me.
Right.
Because if you're gonna ask for the help, they tell you what they need, you have to be authentic and accepting that really privileged space. And I know
Hmm.
that may cause a little bit of spikiness in people's backs. But when your child asks you for help, they are also trusting you. And it's a privilege
Hmm.
because, like Christina just shared, they can ask someone else. But in that moment, they chose you.
Yeah. Wow. This is a oomph. And
Oh,
a hell yeah. Because you know what? I genuinely believe the women of our audience can do it. And you know what? If you're a dad in this audience and you needed this reminder, like dads can be super critical too. Like, we're not letting you off the hook, men. So, yes. So maybe you need to share this with a male in your life too and be like, look, take the sprinkles and the glitter and the pink out of it. You need to hear this. But yes, we absolutely needed these reminders. The powerful and beautiful gift to others is when you can create a safe space and meet your loved one, your child, where they are at and how you support them, learn from them, let them explore and learn on their own.
mhm.
And we need to drop the criticism and the judgment and roll out the red carpet for connection. It's about creating connection in safe space. And so that's what this episode is all about. Friends, if you found this helpful, we'd be so grateful if you would leave us a positive review wherever you listen to us, hang out with us on social media during the week, and join us for Gifts from the Couch on Mondays. Until next week, friends, happy birthday.